Hi YouTube, welcome back to Max Value. I'm your host and this is episode number 12. So as you can see in the title, yes, this is my biggest loss in one session. So I won't tell you how much I lost. You have to wait until the end, or you just can skip if you want, and if you don't want to see all the hands, be my guest and just skip it if you want to see the real amount of how much I lost in one session. I'm playing 1-2 stakes, and as you can see in my previous vlog that I won almost one of my biggest session, like a $2,000, and it was inevitable to have a losing session if we look to my previous ones where I seem always to be lucky and win every time. But yeah, poker is not that. You cannot always win. Sometimes you're gonna lose, but I didn't thought I would hit a wall and lose that much amount of money in only one session. So yeah, it was inevitable that it would come, and without ado, I'm gonna let you see the hands which I played this session. Let's roll. My first hand of the night was pocket sixes. There was one limper, so I decided to pump it up at $12. Big blind calls, and the first limper calls. 3 ways to see a flop, which was 7, 5, 8 rainbow. Now everyone decided to check. So here with a open-ended straight draw, so any 9s or 4 would give me a straight. I decided to put a C bet of $15, even though this flop normally, if it had an overpair, I would probably check here. But since I have 6s, I decided to go for a bet of $15. Big blind calls, and the middle position decided to go all in for 165. And now, like, normally it's a tough decision, but since the pot is so small, I decided to let it go. Next hand was Jack 9 suited in the big blind position. There's a straddle on, and after that 4 limps. So I decided here to limp because my hands played better in the multi-ways. So anyway, I decided to check, call, straddle checked. Flop was 8-3 Jack rainbow. Here I decided to check because I thought my kicker was weak and wanted to see what the other player would do, and everyone checks. The turn was a 9 of heart here. Now I have 2 pair, I have to bet, so I decided to bet $15 half pot, and only the bottom calls. Heads up to CF river, which was 5 of heart here. I don't see much thing here with a 5, and I want to make value with my Jack 9, so I decided to put $35. And the the bottom decided to raise at $100. Now, I'm thinking this player normally could overplay his card with a Jack and another better kicker, like Jack Ace. But since I have 2 pair, this guy normally might overplay sometimes his cards. So I decided to make a call, but he shows 7-6 offsuit for a straight. Next hand was pocket kings here for my redemption. I'm in the cutoff position. There's 3 limpers, so I decided to pump it up $22 since I have kings. And the bottom decided to call. Heads up to see a flop, which was Jack 9-5 all suited spade. Here, since I don't have the king of spade, I decided to check and see what he's going to do. And he checks back. The turn was a 2 of club. Decided to put a $25. And he decided to make the call. The river was a queen of club here. Now I think I gotta continue with my bet, so I put a bet of $55, and he decided to min raise 110. And now I'm figuring out what can I beat here. Not much. Min raise for them is like super strong, and I felt that it was super strong. So even though it was only $55 more, I decided to let it down. My next hand was pocket queens. The under the gun decided to put a bet of $5, so that's a raise. So I decided to 3-bet $30. Big blind calls, and the under the gun decided to call. 3 ways to see a flop of 6 of heart, 3 of diamond, and a 10 of heart. The under the gun decided to put a bet of $25, dunk bet as usual. So here decided to put a raise of 65. A big blind decided to fold, and the under gun decided to call here. And the reason I raise here because I have an overpair, and normally he would dunk bet me with like a 10 with an ace, with top pair, or either if he had a flush draw. So here I'm decided to make him pay. So that's the reason why I make it raise. So we are heads up seeing a turn, which was an 8 of spade. Here he still dunk bet me with $100 here. So now it shows a lot of strength, though I don't see a reason here to make another raise here because he could have a set, he could have 2 pairs, he even could have 7-9 here for a straight. So I just decided to make the call. The river was a 9 of spade here and he decided to go all in. Now with facing that decision, I don't think he would do that with only a 10 ace. I'm pretty sure you either have a set or a 2 pair or even have a 7 for a straight. So here, with all that in mind, I decided to lay it down and he shows 10-6. So he did have 2 pair. My next hand was again pocket queens. I have so much premium, but so much value from them. Could be worse sometime, even though I have big pockets, you're super happy when you see them, but you want to make value with them. However, it's not going that much well tonight. Anyway, I'm in the straddle position with the pocket queens. That's a good news. And there's 5 limpers. And I decided to make a raise, $40. And only the under the gun +1 decided to make the call. Everyone folded. It's up to see a flop, which was 5-5-6 rainbow. So here with my overpair, decided to make a c-bet. But because I don't think he have any 5s in his range. Probably more have like an ace king. Or maybe a little pair that wanted to be scared and raise. Anyway, decided to put a bet of $50 and he makes the call. Here the turn was an ace of diamond. I decided to slow play it and decided to make a check because I didn't want to scare any like 7s, 8, 9, 10 jacks. Because all the ace would probably scare them. So I decided to want to make some value at the river and make him like pay for any middle pair. So that's why I checked and he checked back. And the river was a 3 of diamond. And since with my plan was like making like any middle pair to pay, so that's why I went for all in and he only had like $100 left. And he makes the call and show 4-2 of hearts for the straight. My next hand was pocket ace, another premium, but I'm still scared because all of my premiums didn't win at the showdown. Anyways, I'm in aces at the big blind. There's a raise from the undergun position from $12. The hijack decided to call, cut off calls. So here I decided to put a big raise of $65 and everyone decided to call. So here, even though I have aces, no one seems to care about what I have and just call me loosely. We are 4 ways to see a flop, which was a 9 of spades, king of diamonds, and a 10 of diamonds here. Here my aces, I don't think they're pretty much good since like this board touch everyone. For sure, anyone have a queen jack, anyone can have diamonds, 2 pairs. So I decided to check. Everyone decided to check here. The turn was a 6 of diamonds here. So it completes the flush. To check, and there's the cutoff position. Put a bet of 125 here. Player tend to steal a lot of pots, and normally she bets big when she wants to steal pots. And the other move that I'm making, I don't think it's the greatest moves because I cannot call here. It's either a full or all-in, and even though I only have like $235, I decided to go for the all-in. And I don't think it's a pretty good move because I should have done that with either a ace of diamond in my hands, but I don't even have an ace of diamonds because I'm just like super in my head and just keep losing with my premium. I just decided to make the all-in call at the all-in move, and she calls. She shows king 6 of clubs. The river was a 7 of heart that didn't save me, and I'm losing it out. So here people tend to call me loosely because they see that I'm not running hot and they don't care, or as usual they tend to either like call loosely every time. So that's why sometimes it's easy because most of the times I will win with my aces. But once there's like multi-ways, it's pretty much easily to crack your aces. So sometimes you cannot overplay them, but this time I did. So my next hand was pocket queens. I'm like super lucky to have a lot of premiums again, but I need to have value and it's not happening tonight. It's like having those kind of the night. I was running super hot the previous session, but tonight it's just like hitting me hard. Anyway, pocket queens in the bottom position. There's a raise from the other gun at $7. There's a 3-bet from the 6th player of $25. And here with my pocket queen at the bottom position, I decided to put a bet of $100. And the first player decided to fold, and the 3-better decided to go for 5 bets of $250 here. Now I'm like tanking a little bit because, oh man, am I in another cooler situation? She had like kings or aces, and I'm just like, okay, that's gonna be my night, just losing them. And I said like, fuck it, and I put the all in, and she makes the call. She shows ace queen. Now I have to dodge an ace. The flop comes favorable because she doesn't have any diamonds. Turn is a blank, and the river was another blank. So thanks God, I'm winning my first pot of the night. So my next hand, I got ace queen, but before I gotta tell you, there's a bit of a background. There's a new player at the table who just came like an hour and 30 minutes before, and he just seemed to rock a lot the table. What I mean by that is that a $200 buy-in at 1-2 isn't enough to see a flop. No. And normally I would love these kinds of player when I'm running hot because it's like printing money, and he goes all in with like 8-6 offsuit and nothing, trying to make big bluffs and just raise a lot with shit. So I love these kinds of player because it's an easy like money printer. But since I'm not running hot tonight, it's just like, oh man, what am I going to do? And it plays a lot in my head because it make me like tough decision and a lot of pressure. And since I'm not winning a lot tonight, like it's easily I can be bluffed. And anyway, so I'm gonna tell you what happened this hand. So I'm in the other gun +1 position. I put a bet of $10. There's the low jack decided to make a 3-bet of $22. That's a weak C-bet. Normally, if you want a 3-bet, you put higher price because 22, what is that? $22, like a semi-min raise. Anyway, the hijack, our villain of the story, the rocking guy, decided to put a 4-bet of $65. Now here, since I'm out of position and ace queen, normally I wouldn't play a 5-bet here, but there's some merits to put a 5-bet because normally he's super weak and you just don't want him to hit. But since there's another player, decided to just make that call here, and I think my ace could be good if I hit it on any board. And the other player who min raised me decided to fold, and we're heads up to see a flop, which was 10, 7, ace, 2 spade. Since I have an ace, I decided to check, laying the little trap because I think I'm better than him with my ace, and he put a C-bet of $50. I make the call. The turn was of king of spade here. Now I have the queen of spade in my hand, so I decided to check again. There's no reason here for me to bet, and he decided to make another big bet of 110. Here I go, I think a little bit, and I think like he's probably trying to like bluff me, and can he really have like ace king here, like bluff me at the river? But I should let him bluff me. Anyway, with all this in mind, and since my night wasn't going pretty much well tonight, I just decided like, okay, fuck it and rip it, since I have a queen of spade with my ace, and I go all in for $300. That's only like 290 more, and he makes the call, and he shows pocket king. So the only time that I'm going all in against him, he had a strong hand. So like he's bluffing a lot, and I got caught into his strong hand. River didn't save me because it was a 2 of diamond. I could have hit. I was still a lot of outs, so any spades would technically save me, but it didn't. And it wasn't my best session. That was my worst of all, and I lost a big that night. So if you made it till the end, I'm going to share you a bit of my thoughts about how you have to deal with a losing session. So in total, I lost $1,500. That seems pretty a lot in a 1-2 game, but since my previous session, I seem to hit always, so it's not that much to me, $1,500. And that amount of money, it's all relative to your perspective. So some people, $1,500, it's a lot. Some people it's not, and it all depends on where you are in life. But you always have to think about big blinds. So regarding big blinds, I lost like around 750 big blinds for a 1-2 session. That's pretty much a lot, but it could be worse. Some hands I did play good, some hands I did play bad, and it's important for these hands. And I think it's a lot for a session, and sometimes you just have to leave if you're not winning, and if you're making decision, not logical decision and more emotional decision, and where it's just in your head, sometimes you have to leave. And that's why I always make myself a limit, so I can make sure that I'm playing to that limit. If something's wrong, well, I can actually leave and not keeping chase. So the important part is, how are you going to handle these kinds of situations? Are you the type of player that's going to chase your losing, or you are the type of player that say, okay, listen, tonight is not my night, it's okay, I gotta leave, I've put myself a limit. And sometimes I'm in a cooler situation. Am I playing good? Am I playing bad? So it's important to ask yourself these kinds of questions, because once you're making emotional decision and not logical decision, it's going to affect so much your plays, and you're just going to play differently, and you're just going to go down roll, downfall. And the important part is that you play within your bankroll management. And I think that a lot of people doesn't know how to, the new beginner doesn't know how to manage a bankroll, and I think it's an important subject to like play within your limits and not go too high too fast, or just like to make the next step. So it's important to play within your limits, because you're going to be playing scare money if you're not playing correctly within your bankroll management. And sometimes you're just going to stop, because or else you're going to take a hit and you just got to start again and grind and over again. So it's important to know when to stop and to know when to continue in these kind of situations. And I think it's going to define how you're the poker player. And I think these kinds of situations also resemble your character in life. If you're always going to chase, or if you're going to stop and be true to yourself. And I think that poker resembles a lot of life in many aspects, and I can talk hours about that. Some metaphors, some like psychology perspective of view of poker that related to life in general. So yeah, I could talk hours about that, but I'm gonna keep it short, and so I'm gonna keep it short. But I think that it's kind of important to talk these kinds of things, and not just gonna identify hands also. And I think there's not a lot of people gonna talk about these kinds of subject, because it's not that like gravy, it's not that like cool to talk. Or in short, I think it's important to talk about this subject and not only hands analyzing, because it's all the aspect of what poker brings you into yourself. You might know the GTO optimal ways, but sometimes if you take hit and it affects your plays, it's important as well. So I think that bankroll management, tilt management, stake management, all these kinds of situation subject, I think it's important to talk about it. And if you're interested to talk about that, just put a comment down below, so I know that our community is interested in that. Or not, if you're not, well, I don't think there is any value to talk about if there's no interest. But if there's some interest, I think there's a lot of value to talk about these kinds of situations. So if you want me to talk about any subject you want to know, write down in the comment down below, so that we can have like a good conversation on these kinds of subjects. I think it could add some value tremendously to new player, old players, to rookies, to pros. And I think that all kind of mentality and all kind of perspective, it's important to see. And I'm super open-minded that maybe my point of view, it's not the best for now, but I think it's the best for me for now. And I'm probably going to evolve and have a new mindset later on, because I might be a small poker player right now, but I'm convinced that if I'm still playing poker because I love it, I'm convinced I'm going to play higher stakes, and I'm going to evolve with that. So on behalf of that, I wish you a good day, good week, and see you on the next video.